you doing? I'm doing good. How about you?
Not bad, not bad. First time on the show solo, I should add. Of course, you've been on before. Um, so, what did you want to? What did you want to talk about tonight? What is that awful
Um,
noise?
oh, sorry. Sorry. I fell face down on the couch.
Fair enough. Please try
Yes.
not to.
Yeah, my legs are short, so I
It's
had to
yeah,
climb up there like a little.
it's those
But
short
yeah.
legs. What can you do?
Um, what we can do, like, we could talk about how the media is being really spicy.
Yeah,
They try to push a certain thing, sort of like monkey see, monkey see.
yeah. Monkey see, monkey here, monkey. Follow up with some monkey do. So bear with me
Yeah,
two
so
seconds. I just need to see if we are in fact live. Looks like yes, we are live. Right, cool. Need to send a link to people so they know. Right, cool. So, the media, big topic. We've been requested this quite a bit over the last couple of weeks, just to give our general overview of our impression of the media, the I guess the media's place in society, how that's changing and evolving. So did you have any opening statements that you want to sort of bounce off of?
well, the opening statement is just like with how um like the political dissidents that we got nowadays, and it's just like the media. Before, the media used to be sort of an outlet that used to expose and show certain things. However, what we're getting is half truths,
Yeah,
or if not, just complete lies.
yeah,
Um, only which only purpose is to rile people up, um, and give them a certain sentiment,
mm,
rather than try to give them a sentiment that is to unite people. So it's sort of crazy how that's the big issue now.
yeah. So another couple of things for us to go into because it's such a big topic. We're going to have to bounce around a lot. There's issues surrounding uh, alternative media, the growth of alternative media, the sort of monopolization of access of information that the legacy media has, monopolization, politicization. There's all sorts of angles to go for, but one interesting fact I thought I'd preface this whole discussion with is we're actually entering an era which is unprecedented. And I'm not talking about the era of technology or the era of whatever. I'm talking about we are currently living in a time where politicians are trusted more than the media. That is not the way that things are supposed to be. The politicians are the ones that are supposed to be trying to put a fast one over us, and the media are the ones that are supposed to expose that and bring true information to us, like you said, so that we can accurately make assessments about the world around us, accurately make decisions and everything else. But it's got to the
Exactly.
point
Like that's
where,
how we
yeah, it's completely
that's
the
how
other
we
way
make
round.
sure that we have like that's the way that we make sure that we're in good hands.
Hmm.
To make sure, okay, is this politician trustworthy?
Yeah.
Does this politician have credibility?
Yeah, and
But
the answer
when
is
the
usually
media
no,
doesn't
and the
have
media does a good
credibility,
job. Yeah, exactly, and the whole industry is like that. So it's
right?
difficult to
Yeah, it's like
justify.
in the end of the day, who can we trust?
Exactly. That's one of the big things moving forward. Like you've obviously seen these deep fakes, of course.
Yeah, I've seen the deep fakes. Also, I've seen where like always they always put videos without context. They put like a
Yeah.
certain part, but they never.
So how do you feel about the deep fakes in regards to video evidence and things like that, because I feel like we're entering a they've been saying this for a while, like, oh, it's a post-truth world, but I don't think we're quite there yet. I understand what the concept is, but there are still ways that we can discern what the truth is rather easily. But I think that once we take away the reliability of video evidence, it throws a lot into question. Like there's going to be a period of chaos before we sort of stabilize on what the next best thing after video is. We're probably going to have to wait until technology on the other end of things, like, I don't know, maybe some sort of DNA evidence, like high-end DNA evidence or something like
Right.
that. I'm thinking about for solving crimes. If CCTV is just all all useless now, because the defendant could argue, oh wait, that's not me, that's a video manipulation, someone's trying to frame me, and I've got an alibi of being over here at somewhere else entirely. um
Right. And
it,
it sort of reminds me, do you remember the movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger? Um Running Man? And it's sort of like they
hmm,
did like a whole deep fake,
yeah,
first it
exactly,
starts out that he's in the military, and they ordered him to fire upon civilians in, this square. And he's like, I'm not going to do that. So by him disobeying, what they ended up doing is they portrayed him as if he did that massacre.
yeah,
Um, and then in the end of the day, it was all edited and it was all deep faked.
yeah,
Um, so it's sort of
yeah,
like
I mean,
seeing how you get that going on, like,
reminds me
you
of Black
know,
Mirror almost. I need to get you to watch Black Mirror. We were talking before, and I think you said that you haven't watched that series, but oh boy, there's an episode
yeah,
in that
I know of the
that's a lot
pig.
like that.
I know of
You've seen the pig
I know of,
episode. Uh,
yep, I've seen the pig episode, so
but that just reminded me of the army episode, because there's an episode of Black Mirror. I won't spoil it because Black Mirror is very good. And audience at home, watch Black Mirror. It's very, very good. But yeah, there's an episode like that with an army guy that's it's not quite deep fakes, but it's like changed identity, mistaken civilians, and being asked to shoot upon civilians. It's all a bit of a mess. But yeah. So going forward, I mean, do you think people are going to trust in videos less? Just people in general. Uh, Investigative reporting will become almost impossible, because if you have the media just denying everything point blank because people are paying them to do so, and you've got some, I don't know, some video of some politician doing something they shouldn't have been, they could easily claim that you faked that video, and possibly even sue you for it for defamation. And that's when people
right,
are going to not have the incentive to even seek out this information, because even if you do find that information, even if on a hope and a prayer you do manage to actually come across something that does indict some politician, it could be just used against you, and it could just be flatly denied. So
right, yeah.
it's a bit
And then
concerning.
the thing is, no, but what actually is more concerning is how people are more gullible. You
Yeah.
know, like they actually fall for it. Like there's more people that fall for it than people that actually do their
Well,
research.
it's interesting. I think it's both sides at once, because you've got people like you said, but then there's definitely people that are like hardened cynics, and I see this a lot with my more techie friends, where they'll understand how deep technology can run, how far we've come with some things, how facial recognition is insanely good now, how like AI is just around the corner, all of these sort of things, and they will believe in almost nothing that's presented to them. Like on the fact that it exists. They'll need to look into it. Has it been deep faked? Has it been fake voice? I mean, that was interesting when
Right.
we started having the Jordan Peterson deep faked voice come out online, followed by the Barack Obama ones. I mean, you get that voice and that video together, and you could just fully fake someone having an opinion, right? So much of online culture today, cancel culture and everything else, relies on the accusation of someone else having been done a wrong thing. You know, they have the wrong opinion. What if you have all the right opinions, but someone with power just doesn't like you, and so they just
Right.
get you on some thing, just saying like, I think Hitler was great. I hate all of the people that he hurt, and I think that we should have Hitler too, Electric Boogaloo, or whatever they want you to say, and they could just put that out. And what would your defense be? I didn't do that. That's not me. And then people just go, well, I can see you in the video doing it, like I'm watching it. What
Yeah,
are
it's
you?
like there's the video right here, and it's like, you know,
Yeah, but that's
it's
deep
really hard to sort
faked.
of.
Okay, mate. Yeah, sure. It becomes like an Occam's razor thing. Like, oh right, someone
Yeah.
made a whole fake video just to make you say some dumb thing that's not even that controversial. Because they could be subtle with it. They don't have to just be like full on like, oh, I'm Hitler now, and people are like, this doesn't make sense. They could slightly change your opinion. They could put some words in your mouth, but not others. You know. And so I think all of this together is why the media is dangerous at the moment, and we need to move into an area of culture where we're more willing to express ourselves to one another. I think we've had sort of the growing pains of social media, where we all were thrust into the same room with one another at once. And so all of these sheltered people were like, well, wait a minute, the far right actually exists. It's not a fairy tale. And so they just start going ballistic. And the same thing on the other end, where you've got like conservatives being like, wait, these liberals are actually saying this is crazy. Whereas, after a
It sort of
while, we
brings
all
me
get used to each
to.
other.
It sort of brings me to remember when people were comparing Trump to Hitler,
Oh, yeah.
because he was saying the media is the enemy of the people,
Remember when? It's
which
still ongoing. They're saying it every day.
and if you think about it, it was true. How did the Holocaust happen? Like how? The media. Who was the one behind the media in Nazi
Well, the
Germany?
thing is with
Joseph
World War
Goebbels.
Two was it was the first instance of mass media, and so the people had
Right.
no sort of defense against it. All of a sudden, every German, not every, but a lot, had moving fucking image on a box in their living rooms of this strange, strong, confident sounding man saying he's going to fix all the problems in Germany. You don't know what the fuck's going on,
The crazy thing though is in journalism, a lot of people use Goebbels techniques.
Oh yeah, and
It's ironic because of a man who was, who pretty much was,
I think it was actually
one of the.
started by a man called Edward Bernays, who's known as the father of propaganda. And so that's all wrapped into what you're saying, like all the Goebbels stuff and uh, you know, mass
Right.
media propaganda.
Right. So that's basically what I find it's like kind of ironic, you know. A lot of people take the example from Joseph Goebbels because the dude he was good at what he did, you know, but still, it's like, deception. Just using deception and all sorts of shit to get people
Yeah,
riled up.
exactly. Like if your ideas were so good, you wouldn't need to lie to people to get them to accept them. It's that simple. Like there's no need for propaganda in a free and open society.
Exactly. You should let people think for themselves, not trying to force a certain opinion, if not just let people have their own understanding of something.
Yeah. Yeah, but individual differences was always very offensive to the Nazi regime, wasn't it? They couldn't have people just thinking for themselves and coming up with their
Yeah.
own ideas and presenting a threat to the German aristocracy of the time.
Right. Or you had the communists that were the same, don't don't criticize the state.
mhm.
Don't criticize your regime.
Well, hate speech as a concept was started by Soviet Russia as well.
Pretty much.
Yeah, they
Pretty
were the
much.
ones
And
proposing it in the UN, and I think it was the US was one of the only countries that was like, no, what is this? We're not going to outlaw speech. And come right back around where now you've got all these big media companies basically demanding it, like, oh, why is this person allowed to speak? Like, well, get your good ideas and fight against their bad ideas with them. If you had, but the thing is, that I've noticed as well is these the people in the media that are spreading these kind of things are so far to the left that they actually invoke the horseshoe theory because they're so far left that they're actually just like slivers away from being far right, and all it would take is like a difference in focus because they've really got the energy, they've really got sort of the radical politics, the extremism, the willingness to do
right.
harm to others. Uh, all it takes for a far leftist to turn into a far right person is to change their focus from class to race, and they could just like it could just be like a fad to them, like, oh, I've gone off of class. Oh, race seems interesting, and suddenly they're a
Why not
fascist.
both? Why not both?
Yeah, why not Nazbol? Absolutely. Why not just make it so that the races are the class system? Bam, cast. Damn. Now that's extreme enough. That's like
Yeah.
center authoritarian's wet dream.
The the freaking we would call it the Bolsheviksi or something like that. Just
Well, on the internet they call
some
them
weird.
Nazbol. I don't know if it's a real thing, but yeah, it's like the
Yeah.
mishmash of the two. But yeah,
Yeah.
back to the media. Well, you were going to say something?
Oh, what I was gonna say is it's crazy how you have all these people with these ideologies that are just able. They complain about free speech and they complain about certain things, yet they're using free speech to,
Yeah,
spread these ideologies. Um,
I
and
think
it's
as a
like,
society we need to be able to say if you're using the thing to attempt to destroy the thing, then that's a case where we can stop you from doing that. Like there are so many cases,
exactly.
there are like there are so many cases of freedoms being abused by people using them in order to undermine that freedom. Why should we tolerate that?
The thing is, we shouldn't. If you come over here with bad intent, it's something that, no, that's a big no-no. Because the thing is, sometimes it's sort of like a double edge. Because it's like we believe everyone has freedom, but the thing is, as soon as you try to undermine that freedom gets taken away.
Yeah, because that freedom belongs to everyone, not just that one person. And so if they're trying to take it away from everyone else, I think that it could rightfully be said it's an act of aggression. Maybe not aggression because
Exactly.
because some of the rhetoric has got like speech being violence and things like that. Obviously, running a discussion show, we don't believe that violence. We here at the Jim Domino Show believe that violence is violence.
Exactly. It doesn't matter, whether it's physical, verbal, or whatever. It's violence in the end of the day. Its intent is to cause harm. There's nothing positive, or there's no benefit from it. Um, you know, the only time there's ever, a justification if you're using it to defend against violence coming towards you.
Well, self defense is almost like the inverse of what I just said with you can't let freedoms be taken away with that same freedom.
Right.
Self-defense is almost the opposite, where it's like you can't disallow all violence, otherwise you won't even be able to protect yourself.
Right. Like self-defense, in my opinion, it's like a mirror.
Yeah,
It's like a mirror. If you were to instill violence on someone for no particular reason, just go on the offensive, and they bring that same energy to you, it's a lot different.
yeah,
Because when you're defending yourself, you're like when you use self-defense, you don't expect to use it. A lot of the people that defend themselves don't really expect to have to defend themselves. It just sort of happens.
yeah. Better safe than sorry. Better to be prepared than caught unaware.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's
So,
crazy in the UK with self-defense as well. Like they don't believe that self-defense is a right in the UK. We obviously there's a ban on handguns. We can still have hunting rifles and that sort of thing, but good luck getting a license for one in the city.
now you
There's
got shivs, shanks, knives, pocket knives, whatever.
yeah, and you've got judges saying why do we need sharp knives anyway? Like literally, like this is what happens when you gear your society towards something other than freedom, like America has. We just seem to be going
Right.
in some direction, and it's not towards people being more able to, self-actualize and do whatever they want to do in life. It seems to be just towards sort of, I don't know, cotton wool kiddie gloves. Make sure you've got your oven
Like
mitts
a
on.
daycare, pretty much.
Yeah,
Just like
like
a little daycare,
they call it
Let's
the
just
nanny state, because you haven't got the ruler with the iron fist anymore. You got the old granny with her oven mitts, and she's like, there, dear, don't touch that. It's hot." And you're there like, "But mom, I'm a teenager now. I could do what I want."
Mom, I got 3 hairs on my ball sack, and I
I'm a
got 1 blue
man
hair on my
now.
chest. I'm a rugged ass man. I'm trying to look for a female, to settle down. I'm a manly man.
Why do you sound like
Um,
fucking Arthur from Red Dead?
cause I reckon,
Oh, because I've got tuberculosis, boy.
I'll tell you what, I got that tuberculosis.
You got that T to the B.
But yeah, all jokes aside, the problem with that is mankind, um, man is, like mankind throughout history, we've seen that when it comes to harming other people, we're geniuses.
Yeah,
We innovate, we improvise.
we're pretty slick at
If
that
we're gonna
shit.
harm someone, if we're gonna harm someone, you don't need a gun. You don't need this. You could, just get, certain other things.
Yeah, and
You
it's
could.
it's it relates to the whole sort of attempting to suppress the bad aspects of human nature. It just can't be done. They're like, oh, if we take the guns away, then they just won't hurt each other because they won't have guns. And it's like, yeah, now
You got
London
cars,
knife crime has shot up to the highest it's ever
hit and
been.
runs. You got people running over people. You got other people that use chemicals. You got people that poison
Yeah, hasn't
others.
hasn't stopped anyone. It's just stopped people's ability to defend themselves. If you have a look at the graph of, I'm not sure if it's gun-related homicide or if it's just homicide in general, but directly following the gun ban, there was a sharp decrease in murder. But ever since then, it has been rising at a higher rate than it was before the ban. And so clearly something's gone wrong. You can argue that, oh, well, we don't have gun crime anymore. Okay, yeah, but there is a lot more, murder now. Isn't that what we were trying to prevent? Like, do we really care about the tool that is? But I'd rather the tool was quick and easy. If I'm gonna be murdered, would you rather have acid thrown in your face? Would you rather be stabbed 12 times? Or would you rather just be shot in the head or the heart or, neither is none of these are preferable.
If you're shot in the chest or in the stomach or whatever, big chances you could survive from that.
Yeah, but I mean, like in the heart, you're not gonna survive that.
Oh yeah, no. If you're in the heart, you would have to be in. Either you'll die in minutes.
You're more likely to survive a shot to the head than the heart. Because you could actually wedge the bullet in between the brain hemispheres and just skirt some of the brain matter. But if you're shooting at the heart, you're going through that motherfucker and it's not going to be pumping no more.
Yeah.
But the point is,
one thing that I was.
Point is, if you're gonna murder, you're gonna find a way to do it.
Yeah, I could use my bare hands and strangle someone or bash their head against the concrete.
Like, do you not think that is the end game state of British law at the moment, where they're like, well, you don't need sharp knives? Because to end what I was saying about the judge, he actually said, why do knives need to be sharp anyway? Why can't kitchen knives be dull? Like, we should just have an edict where we go into every house and just dull the knives. And then all the chefs in the country were like, what the fuck is this guy on about? I need to...
I can't cut my tomatoes.
It was the stab heard around the world because he was just... Who needs a sharp knife anyway? Just like record scratch moment, just like dozens of industries were like, me? Who needs a sharp knife anyway? And it's like, until it comes time to chop off your fingers because, fingers are declared deadly weapons. It's like, we have found a use for a sharp knife now, haha.
Or it'll just be like that orc, his legs, his hands, chop them off. He don't need those.
Yeah.
But here's one point that I wanted to put, like, for me, what I think would be a solution is everyone has guns. Everyone has guns. You know why?
See, I don't think you can roll back technology. Yeah, no, I've seen all these things in America with it's that American phrase, how do you stop a bad guy with a gun? A good guy with a gun. Like, it's a very American phrase because good guys, bad guys, and guns involved, but...
it's like feudal Japan. Feudal Japan, everyone had a sword, and everyone knew how to use a sword.
Well, it's still true. Like, how do you stop a bad guy with a gun? If it's not some random standing around with a gun, it's going to be the police showing up with a gun. Like, you need guns. So you have two choices. You could either have guns evenly distributed between the people and the people in power, or you could have all the guns concentrated in the hands of those in power. And then if they decide to fuck you around ever, oh, too bad. You don't have any guns and they have all the guns. So what are you going to do? Get shot thousands of times as you run towards them in like a big crowd, and it's like, some of us will get through.
They can't stop us all.
They can't stop all of us. And it's like just like 1,000 police surrounding Parliament in a circle, just shooting out. Yeah, just like. Remember what was meant to happen at Area 51? Let's talk about the media in relation to that as well, because the media just like jumped on some random Facebook event and it just blew up. And I remember like what made that whole meme for me was the military responded to it and was like, oh, guys, just so you know, we're not sure if this is a joke or not, but if you do approach Area 51, we will shoot you. Like, it is a functional Air Force base. We will be forced to kill you. And the people are like, you can't kill us. We'll outrun your bullets on fucking Crocs, Naruto style. Oh man.
Yeah, it was a big disappointment, because not many people showed up, and like I think
I
probably
think
like
one guy actually got to Area 51. Like he went right up to the barriers, said, "Could I come inside?" And the guy was like, "You have balls, son. Like we said we were going to shoot you." And then they just like let him in the barrier, and he just took a picture of him inside Area 51, and that was it essentially. Like, they
I
were
think
like, "If you
I think
go
we just let
any more inside, we will kill you." And he's like, "Yeah, I know."
at least he has a story to tell, and at least he has like picture. He'll be able to show his grandkids.
You know, uh,
Hey,
he and he could be like, "And that was the day that I clapped them alien cheeks." Like, but Grandpapa, are you telling me that alien life is real? And he just looks towards the
and then you see the
camera
kid,
and winks.
and then then when you turn around the kid's like freaking blue with like tentacles like coming out of his head.
Yeah, yeah.
No, no. Just some
What
weird
do you mean
alien looking at
aliens are
kid.
real? No, I once watched something about, I can't remember what it was. It was only the other day I watched it, so I'm probably ripping off something I saw on TV. But there was some short story where they were like telling it was basically these Martians telling stories
Right.
about these Earthlings, but the twist was that the Martians were humans after a nuclear war, and they just couldn't remember anything.
That's crazy.
Whoa! Pull that video up.
Wait, that's the one where they hypnotize him, right?
I'm not sure. It sounds like a Twilight Zone episode, doesn't it? Beyond your
No, there's
wildest imagination.
there was this one thing that I watched. It was around Facebook, and it was like
Hmm.
these black dudes, and then one other dude was a hypnotist, and he hypnotized one dude to believe that he was a Martian.
No, it wasn't that at
And,
all. But back to the Joe Rogan thing, because that's actually an interesting topic in relation to all of this media stuff. Because
Bro
obviously,
Jogan.
Bro Jogan's got him sweating bullets, but there's quite a bit to talk about. So, I mean, let's take it from the top. 10 years ago, he was a semi-successful comedian. He
Right.
wasn't big time, but he was doing the circuit. He was quite successful. I mean, I had heard of him. He was, quite famous.
Yeah,
But
he's in
then he
Comedy
just,
Central.
yeah, exactly. He was on Comedy Central quite a lot. But then he decided he was going to start up his podcast, and everyone at the time called him crazy. They were like, "Oh, Joe, what you're retiring? Oh, what you're just going to like, And he was just like, I just think I want to do my own thing for a bit. I want to do like a radio show sort of thing." And everyone thought he was crazy. But 10 years later, he's got the biggest show on. He's got the biggest podcast in the world. I was about to say biggest show on YouTube. That's probably not right, though, is it? But biggest podcast in the world. Always has on these interesting guests. Always has on sort of people that go against the media narrative, and they're not happy. They're always trying to take him down. Always trying to say he's far right. Always trying to, get him
But
to.
he's sort of like left. He's more left than
It's ridiculous. He is left. Like, you can ask him his opinions,
yeah.
and he would tell you he's pro social health care. He would have supported Bernie in the elections. He's obviously pro drug legalization. He every Democrat politician he gets on, he'll have a friendly conversation with. Every Republican politician he gets on, he'll grill them. And that's just because that's his politics. He can't help his bias. He's trying to be moderate and just have an open conversation, but he still can't help that he does believe the things that he does. And any honest person watching that would know what he really believes. But the media want to paint him as alt-right because apparently that's the go-to for, like, if you're conservative, you're just ejected from public conversation. So, all right, oh boy, like, oh, you're just untouchable. Oh, Joe Rogan's far right now, don't you know? So please stop watching him and come back to CNN where you can watch our not far right Don Lemon talk about his opinions on race and whatnot. You know, it's so backwards. You've got this moderate lefty who's, yeah, it doesn't really work in his favor that he's bald either, because they could just like put him in an article and all of these like
He's a skinhead.
soccer mums, like they call him in America, just like looking and being like, "Oh, he looks scary," and they say he's a racist. Oh.
Yeah, it doesn't really help, and the dude's pretty jacked too. You know,
Yeah,
he's not like a skinny bald dude. You know, like a
yeah.
Vsauce looking ass dude. He's a Dave Bautista looking ass dude.
Hey, experience Rogan here.
You know, so
But
yeah, I see
yeah, I
what you mean,
wanted
and it's
uh to get your opinion on his Spotify move as well, because that's interesting in and of itself. Because you've got sort of the alternative media vying for him now. Like they all want a piece of Joe Rogan, but the mainstream media, they're the only ones that are losing out in this. Because if you know, two companies are fighting between Joe Rogan, they're not getting a piece of him. He's never come into mainstream media. The most he'll ever do is go to like a mainstream internet site, you know, media site. But yeah,
right.
what do you think about the whole Joe Rogan threat to mainstream media and his Spotify deal and everything else?
Like him going to Spotify. I mean, I feel like that's more of uh, that's sort of a power move because a lot of people use Spotify.
Hmm.
Not many people like when it comes to podcasts and stuff. A lot of people don't have the time to go on YouTube. You know, a lot of people are constantly multitasking,
Yeah,
and they don't have the phone in their hand. They'll just put Spotify and just put their headphones on, and then they could just listen to it. You
yeah.
know, it's more convenient for him, especially when you got a lot of people that subscribe to Spotify as well. Like I have Spotify Premium as well. You know, I think it's amazing because you could download your songs for offline use, as well as you don't have to worry about ads as well. You don't have to worry about ads. Um, but like it's pretty cool. Um, with like Spotify Premium and stuff. But yeah, that's a power move on Joe Rogan's behalf because you got more people listening to podcasts than rather watching shows. So, um, just him doing that, that's.
I think it means for the future of YouTube. Think they're feeling the heat, or do you
Oh,
think they don't care?
YouTube is trying to gear towards music as well. You
Oh,
got
I've
YouTube
seen that. Every
Music,
time I
so
try to play music
yeah,
now,
they're
it's like,
trying to.
oh, hey, would you like to try out our new desktop experience?
You got
We've
YouTube
geared it
TV.
for people like you, so you might like it.
You got YouTube TV as well.
You've got YouTube Kids,
Where
you've got YouTube Gaming, you've got YouTube. Is there a YouTube Sport?
I would assume so,
I'd
but they also have
assume
YouTube
so, but I
Movies as
don't think
well.
there is. I think there might be a YouTube Esports. No, I've reached the end of my knowledge of YouTube at this. You're right, YouTube
You
Movies.
got YouTube Movies, which is it's like Netflix and stuff, but like mostly it's just you rent movies.
Uh,
And then they have the free version of it, but the free version has ads. But if you have YouTube Red, then you don't gotta worry about ads.
Typical.
Uh, it's like you could just get ad blocker. It won't it won't do anything. It'll get rid of those ads for you.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, YouTube's been trying to do that. It's the same with Amazon. Amazon's also been trying to do the same. Like you got Amazon Prime where they have all their movies, and you got they changed Twitch Prime to Prime Gaming, so they're trying to do that as well as Amazon has their own gaming library. So if you have Prime and you claim any of the games, then when you download the Prime Gaming, you're able to download those games from that launcher. So a lot of these companies are trying to like catch a little bit of that of when it comes to like gaming and podcasts and all that. They're trying to
Mm.
get some of that booty. You know what I mean? What I'm saying?
Spotify deal because on one hand, uh, good for Joe Rogan doing his own thing, get that money, give me the loot, all that. You know, I'm happy that he's making money and whatever. I'm
Right.
happy that it's putting pressure on YouTube more than I'm happy that he's able to just make money. I don't like that's good for him, but good for all of us is it's putting pressure on YouTube because some of their biggest stars could just be poached by Spotify now or be poached by another platform.
Right.
But
And
and this is the
go
big
ahead.
but. Spotify has actually said to Joe Rogan that he's not allowed to upload certain episodes.
Yeah, that's right. Because Spotify has gotten rid of a lot of artists due to their like opinions or the type of music they got.
Oh
So,
wow. Yeah. So do you know?
Spotify isn't
Yeah. So it's good that there's a second platform, but I don't like based on that information. I don't like Spotify because some of the episodes
right.
banned are some of the best episodes of Joe Rogan that exist.
Right. SoundCloud is always there. SoundCloud is always there with open arms.
Yeah.
When it comes for content.
Really, we
Um,
need our own platform though because they're there with open arms
but
right up until they're not.
going back to YouTube, what I was gonna say is, YouTube has lost a lot of stars. Um, they have lost a lot of people. You know, like you had, let's go for example, Angry Grandpa. A lot of people used to love watching that. And then, Angry Grandpa passed away, and then now you just got his son that just posts clickbait, and it's a dying channel. We used to have Filthy Frank. Filthy Frank, his content was something that you wouldn't be able to see on mainstream media. It was like watching Eric Andre, but just dial it to a 10. It
Yeah.
was something that, you know, it was probably one of like the biggest ways of satire. It hit everything. Like whatever issue was going on, like, Filthy Frank had that right there, and it was entertaining. Um, a lot of YouTubers, like gaming YouTubers, they left. They went to Twitch, or they just don't make videos anymore. Um, I heard, well, one thing I did hear, I heard Dr. Disrespect's on YouTube now. Dr. Disrespect's on YouTube, so Twitch sort of lost Dr. Disrespect, and I used to bring a lot of views on Twitch.
Yeah,
Um,
Twitch is uh Twitch is a beautiful platform that I love to be a part of, and I highly value all of our Twitch viewers listening in right now. That's all I have to say on the matter. But yeah,
but
um,
yeah,
the whole Doctor
you have
Disrespect situation, he just got yeeted for basically nothing. I'm pretty sure I
yeah,
know what
there
it
was
was,
never
but I'm not gonna say it because
yeah,
otherwise I'll just be eradicated.
yeah, and it's sort of and then you have YouTube banning Leafy. And that was another thing. You had iDubbbz, you have all the L of the Day, you had H3H3, and a lot of these YouTubers that basically, or hell, you had Keemstar, and their content is basically based on drama and just people taking the piss on each other.
Yeah,
And
they're good
then
examples
you had
of entertainers, but they're not good examples of alternative media.
yeah, you
Where
had Ice
now
Poseidon on Twitch, and he
Ethan
he
Ethan
he
might count because he does a semi news related podcast thing.
Right. Yeah, he has his podcast. But yeah, you
So
had
what
Twitch,
else
they
is
had
there
Ice
like that?
Poseidon, and Ice Poseidon was more like the in real life streamers, which like with like Asian Andy and Andy Milanakis. You had that sort of genre as well, and that sort of changed, and they ended up going to YouTube. Um, but also now you have like people moving to like not Mixer, like D Live, or like other platforms. You know, like you always have like an exodus of someone moving to one platform to another platform, and it's always like rules are always changing, you know. Um, and then when you have something come up, like they always want to try to get a piece of that.
Hmm. Yeah.
So yeah, um, it's something that like it's always gonna be like that. Like when there's money involved, when there's politics involved, like there's always gonna be something going on. You know, like it's never gonna be um nice and dandy.
So, I mean, who's been doing, a good attempt at, uh, not necessarily a news show, but sort of, like a talk show. Who's made a good transition into being alternative media?
So I mean, the one who's been doing like a good attempt would probably be like Tim Pool.
Oh, oh
Or
yeah, absolutely. Tim
you
Pool's
have
amazing.
um the Quartering, Sargon, and sometimes even Count Dankula. Yeah, dude shit posts a lot, but on his second channel he always
Yeah,
looks at certain articles and brings it up to date. So
yeah, they're in a group with Bearing as well, aren't they? They do that Tism live stream together. But yeah,
yeah.
that's funny. But yeah, you've got even V does good work. Although he's got a medium-sized channel, he deserves more love though, because he's doing like a news roundup every week, and it takes a lot of what do you call it? It takes a lot of uh, stomach fortitude to do the news
Right.
every week on week, because he's doing like the most dodgy stories, like, oh, here's some nutter going off on some woman in public. Oh, here's some kid beating some other kid up. Like, he's always doing like the worst stories of the week that have come up. He's like, well, I was sent this to talk about, let's talk about it. So
Right. And then also someone else, Steven Crowder. Steven Crowder's probably the one dude that's
hmm.
always uploading constantly and bringing awareness
See,
to
Stephen
um
Crowder is like, well, Ben Shapiro as well has got his Daily Wire, where he's got his own little thing going on. I think Stephen Crowder's. Got to be honest, like I appreciate Shapiro, but I don't watch Daily Wire. I don't um follow all of that. The conservative voices that I do follow, um, I don't actually know other than Stephen Crowder, because he's such a prominent one that if you're not following him, then are you really, following what's going on in that movement at all?
right. And Alex Jones got yeeted out of YouTube. Like,
Oh yeah, Alex Jones was
they
a
tried to,
beautiful,
but
beautiful man.
you can still find his videos on YouTube everywhere.
Well,
You know,
oh yeah, they get uploaded all the time, and I think he's on band.tv now. That's what he'd probably bark if he was around. I'm on band.tv. You can find me there. Alex. Oh, but yeah, so here's a good question. Who's a good left wing or progressive YouTuber trying to do alternative media? Because we've got Tim Pool. Tim Pool is definitely, he's about as progressive. I would say actually he's more progressive than Joe Rogan, because Joe Rogan has that sort
yeah,
of
yeah,
default California progressive stance where it's like, I mean, I'd be remiss to like say that he's not a thoughtful person, but it's not like he's thought really, really deeply about the political positions he holds. He just has like policy ideas that he thinks would be good to implement. But he's not really an ideological person. I don't feel like that kind of thing interests him. He's more interested in ideas than ideologies. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, he's got the best fucking show on, uh, best podcast around. He's obviously doing something right, right? So
Yeah, exactly. Like he's like when you watch his shows, like it's not like um it's not like like when you have like certain people like they sort of like mock them and all that shit. Like he at least tries to understand their viewpoint,
yeah,
if it's something that he doesn't see eye to eye.
yeah, and
As of other left,
yeah, a lot of the
um
inspiration for this came from that, where he's able to just basically sit down with anyone and just be like, "Whoa, that's crazy. Tell me more about that wacky stuff that you know in particular." Because he always gets these interesting experts in. Like other people's favorite episodes, probably like the Alex Jones ones, or the Eddie Bravo conspiracy ones, where it just goes nuts. But my favorite one was the Paul Stamets episode, because he was just talking to a mushroom expert, and this guy knew his stuff, and he was like really smart, and he just knew a lot about mushrooms, and he taught me a lot about mushrooms. I really enjoyed that. Um,
but yeah, for like left,
yeah. So
I don't
who
have
on the
much
left?
knowledge. But I know sometimes I have watched H3H3's like, podcasts. And, also H3H3, he's like, he's sort of like in the center,
Yeah,
I remember when you had the 2016 elections, like you had other people, going ape shit, just screeching, and he's like, you know what? Hey, um, I think people should stop flipping the fuck out. I think
yeah,
people
yeah.
in
It was
this
around
time
then
we
that
should actually.
I'd been following him for a couple of years before that, but I'd something happened around a couple of years ago where he started doing the podcast more and more, and people started
Yeah.
saying like, "Oh, we've missed your videos," and he just kept drifting into the podcast more and more, and so some people feel that he's sort of chasing the money rather than doing it for the audience, which
Right.
which is
But
interesting because I wouldn't have thought that there'd be more money in podcasting than in just regular content. But what do I know?
yeah, and as well, his wife, they have a clothing line too, so another um they got
Uh,
another
income stream.
exactly. But yeah, but one thing, like when he was talking about the 2016 elections, he was like, "Hey,
Same thing with
we're all in
PewDiePie.
the
He's
same
he's
boat. We
got
should
a
we should
clothing line.
wish the president good luck rather than wishing him for him to fail, because it's our country, we shouldn't be wishing the worst. We should be wishing that he actually governs us well,
Yeah.
you know." And I was really surprised because he was saying that, hey, like he's left. He's like really left.
Oh
Um,
wait, you know who is good? Jimmy Dore. Since
Jimmy
we're
Dore.
trying to find decent left wingers now. Uh, oh shit. He's basically the most reasonable member of TYT now.
Mm,
He's like basically an anti-war lefty in the same sort of vein as Tim Pool and all that. But
mm.
he does have a couple of spicy opinions, and he does hate Alex Jones with a passion. I just wish they would kiss and make up, you know.
I mean, Jenk hates Alex Jones as well. No, he actually, I think who do you think he hates more, Steven Crowder or Alex Jones?
Probably Alex Jones, because Alex Jones actually called him out. Like, do you remember when
I know.
Alex Jones just showed up to Jenks sort of show? He was doing I can't remember what it was. He was just doing like a political convention or something like that. He was just sitting around talking to people, and Alex just showed up. He was like, "Hey, Cenk! Hey, how you doing, buddy? Hey, I just had a couple of questions for you. Why do you hate America?" And he's like, "God damn it, go away, Alex. I don't want to talk to you." Oh, we're all
Oh, I
friends
remember
here.
when he pulled. when he pulled up, and it's just like Zhenk was like,
Yep.
I think it got to a point where Zhenk got really pissed and wanted to throw hands.
Yeah, I think that's the point where Jimmy Dore spat in Alex Jones's face, which is like, look, the what, like, you don't spit in people's faces. Come on, man. I like you, Jimmy, but come on, shape up. No spitting.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, one thing I do know is I know Steven Crowder made Ben Shapiro feel uncomfortable. Where he was wearing the really shorty shorts,
Uh,
and
I,
Ben
I
was having such a hard time.
I love making I love watching Ben Shapiro uncomfortable though, because nothing really changes. He just starts eyes darting around the room a bit. Like, well, I'm not really comfortable with this situation. I don't really agree with this. Take my cash for gold
But
link.
yeah, um, I don't have much knowledge about like a lot of left. Like I know a lot of like centrist or like libertarian and such, but
So
like
people
as of like
recommend
left,
David Pakman, but I feel like David Pakman is, I don't know, I feel like he plays games a bit too much.
yeah. I
But
know most of them are in the mainstream media. Like if it comes to like
ah,
when it comes to like left, most of them have at least a TV show or
yeah.
are on TV.
And
They're more
Carl
mainstream.
Kalinske is good as well.
Because I think you had like Bill Myers more left, right?
Well, I would say at this point he's a centrist.
Because he also had
At this
Stephen
point,
Colbert. You also had Stephen Colbert.
well,
Um,
with all of those sort of late night shows, what you would call them is liberals, because that is what they're meant to be. You've got progressives that are even further to the left that believe in socializing everything.
oh,
But
okay.
then you've got the socialists even further, and then the communists even further than that. But liberals are meant to be the counterpoint to conservatives, and so you've got conservatives on one hand being like, oh, tradition and religion, and then you've got liberals on the other, Bill Maher, going, no, screw religion, and like I'm a funny talk show host, haha. But he calls out all the social justice stuff all the time. He's like, what's going on with these people? Why are they so angry? You know,
Yeah, exactly, which is good, and
that's how you
that's
differentiate
how.
him from just the left, because it's a wide field. Politics is a wide fucking area. You can't just be like, right, you're on the right, you're on the left. It's really not helpful to be that way. Like, if you're on the far right or the far left, then I think it's worth pointing out, like, hey, you are so far outside the Overton window that I don't even know how to address this argument. Like, if they're just talking on some like, we need to eat the rich, or we need to like kill all of the people of this race or something, it's like I don't know how to
Yeah,
respond to that, because I have no frame of reference for why you'd think that.
you can't fly with one wing. You need both to lift off.
Exactly, and that's
If
why
you,
the liberals are meant to be the counterpoints to conservatives, because conservatives are meant to be, well, liberals are meant to push things as far as they will go, and conservatives are meant to be like, hey, now that's too fast, or that's too far, or they're meant to say, well, no, you can't change that, we really like that. So liberals will want to change everything, because the way I saw it when I was younger, before all of this social justice stuff became everything, was conservatives are more about traditions and religion and family and everything else, and liberals are more about education and science and technology. And so I saw that as, the two counterparts, the two halves of the same coin, where one half would be pushing ever forward, and one half would be, always holding something back, or always
right,
keeping the
advan
advancements in check.
right. So like advancement and like advancement versus preservation. sort
Yeah,
of.
because liberals left to their own devices would become accelerationists. They would just go as fast as they could towards the future because the future is good and the past is bad, don't you know? People suffered in the past and there were bigots in the past, so it would be better if we were in the future. Whereas conservative mindset is more like the future is scary. We don't know what's in the future. There might be robots and aliens, like, but remember the warmth and the nostalgia of the past. We should try to remember what was good about the past and maintain that. And if you want a better split down the middle, then the split would be between positive and negative freedom. Uh, Liberals want the freedom to do stuff, and
Right.
conservatives want the freedom from having to do stuff.
Right.
And that's the main split. So liberals will be like, just as a very basic example, I like music. I will turn my music up, and then it gets to a point where it's 100 decibels, 120 decibels, 140. The room is starting to shake. The building's starting to shake. Conservative in the next door apartment doesn't really like this. He wants to be free as well. He wants to be just as free as the liberal, but because they live together in the same apartment block, he can't be free because he is being oppressed by the music, you see. So if he wants to do something about it, he would have to do, conservative regulatory action in terms of limiting the freedom of the liberal is seeking when it comes down to interacting with other people. Because he would make the argument, hey, you're free to listen to your music, but I'm also free to peace and quiet, am I not? And so they would have to come to an arrangement. Either, he plays his music loud when the Conservative's not in, or, there's just a cap on how loud the music can go, or maybe, he invites him over for a party and they just, party at the same time and there's no issue.
Yeah. Or just listen to something that they both like. You
Listen to
know.
something that they both like, or soundproof the entire building. There are solutions. There are many
Right.
solutions, and it's about picking the best solution that works best for everyone. And that was one example with a tiny apartment building with two people living in it. Now imagine society with cities of, millions of people interacting, walking by each other day by day. And, it's chaotic. So, how do you maintain everyone's freedoms to the maximum degree possible? Well, you need these two influences. You need the liberals to push, and you need the conservatives to pull. And that is meant to be what results in, the advancement and propagation of civilization and society.
Right. Like a balance. Because the thing is, let's go if we go realistically.
Hmm.
Um,
Not a
if you
balance.
said something about
It's
this.
like a
If
tug of war. It's like in the fact, or a pendulum. It's the movement that is actually moving things forward. Because if things were always exactly the same, things would never move forward.
right. But one example that I wanted to put, because here's how society is right now. Society is at a point of like disagreement. Let's go. You said something about soundproofing.
Hmm.
So let's say if the person who has the music is like, oh, you need to soundproof your apartment. Then the other person would be like, why do I have to have that
Yeah.
responsibility?
Why?
I'm
Why
not
do
the
I
one
do
playing
that?
the music.
You're the one with the music. You put the soundproofing up. And he's like, You're the one that doesn't want to hear it. You do it. That's interesting. So yeah, what would you say the solution is to that? Because I think that is something. Actually, I'd like the audience to answer that. Who should put the soundproofing up?
Right, or who should turn down the music?
Hmm.
You know, like who should take the initiative? Like
Yeah, and
who
let's keep an eye
should
on the comments as well over the next 10 minutes or so, just to see if anyone does answer. But yeah, so let's say that someone is playing their music too loud, someone doesn't like it, and the proposed solution is soundproofing. But who should pay for it? The person with the music or the person that specifically doesn't want to listen to the music? whose responsibility is it? And that's, I think, that is an interesting question that will reveal a lot about people's sort of lean in politics, because that
Right.
has one answer. There's only one answer. You like, who has to pay for it? Well, I mean, I guess you could say that they equally pay for it both, right? And then you're a
Yeah,
based
that's what I was
centrist.
about to say.
Yeah, exactly.
If you wanna think outside the box, they could both work something out,
Hmm.
where they could, both equally put in and then become, good pals, have a place to jam the music, you know. But the sad thing is now in days in society, people see things only in black and white. They don't
Yeah,
see things out of that
absolutely.
spectrum. Um, People are not willing to compromise, um, you know, for a greater purpose. People are a bit more selfish and would rather have things their way. Um, I feel like that's how society has grown
Hmm.
nowadays. Like people have sort of grown entitled to their own way
Oh yeah,
rather than trying
society
to,
used to be hard,
um,
but now we've got so many conveniences that it's almost become
exactly.
trivial. You know, we can order
And
food to
it's
our homes. We don't even have to leave our homes to work in some cases. Some people are able to, set up a little cushy work from home business where they don't even have to do anything because they've got little automated things set up. No, we live in the most prosperous time in human history, but that doesn't mean that there aren't hardships.
exactly like you still have people in the streets. You still have certain places in the world that still has war. There's still conflicts.
Yep.
You know, um, it's sort of crazy how technology sort of advances really quickly. However, our mindsets are sort of going back. Um, you know, so going back to like the media, that's sort of how it looks nowadays. We got all of this technology. We got all the knowledge and the power to lead people to a certain direction, but that's not what it's being used for. It's sort of being used to manipulate people into thinking in a certain mindset, and a negative mindset by that. It's definitely not a positive mindset, and it's sort of holding us back
Yeah.
into becoming a prosperous nation, a prosperous society. That's one of the biggest issues that I'm seeing now. It's a divide and conquer
Yeah.
sort of thing.
And to bring this back around to the main topic of the media, uh, you have got the media as well trying to, it seems, push, uh, these wild ideas that just seem divisive because hardly anyone agrees with them. Like, it's a very, very small minority of people that actually, agree with some of these extreme ideas. Uh,
Right.
but they'll
Yet
just
they're
keep
loud.
pushing them.
They're the loudest.
Hmm.
It's
Hmm.
it's like um let's go with BLM. I know it's sort of controversial, but you got a lot of people that they simply support the fact that hey, there's police brutality. We would just like um our people not to get shot in the streets by law enforcement unjustly. We would like them to actually, if they did something wrong, we would like them to go through the system justly. And if they didn't do anything wrong and they do get in the system, we want them to go justly and not just be sent to prison, you know, uh, due to the color of their skin. It's really simple. You know what I mean? It's a really simple thing. But then you got another group of individuals that want to push. Oh, um, we've been through all this. You guys owe us. You know, um, every white person should pay us this amount. And it sort of gets like a bit extreme.
Well,
Where it's like white people are evil
bring
and all,
to bring it
all
back
this
round to
sort
the
of.
media, like, yeah, that's all being sort of pushed by the media, and it brings up the greater question of why is it being pushed this way by the media? Like, what happened to the media that it took this hard shift to the left, where now you've got, you've got people that were liberals, people that were ostensibly on the left. Now they've got me calling them centrist, and they're calling them right wing. I've heard people before call Bill Maher far right. Like how out of touch do you need to be to think that Bill Maher is far right? Like not even just right wing. You could have settled it there and been wrong, but they had to go, no, he's far right. Like he's basically Hitler. He's basically like the furthest right that you could possibly be. I don't think that, because everything's far, isn't it? Nothing's, oh, they're moderate right. It's always far. And if they can't get away with far, they'll stick alt in front of it and hope that scares you enough. But even that's a misnomer, because alt-right means white nationalist, like, racial ideology, white supremacist. And you've got, not a lot of people know this, apparently, but every time I say this, people are confused and amused. You've got like two segments of the alt-right. You've got the original alt-right, who were essentially civic nationalists, and then you have the new alt-right, who essentially are white nationalists, racial nationalists, who took the phrase and went, we are alt-right too. And they went, we don't know about that. But then the media focused in on them and went, oh, look at these alt-right people, they're horrible. And so the original alt-right people were forced out their own movement, essentially. Because all alt-right means is the alternative right. And so it was a bunch of people that were like, oh, conservatives are old and stodgy, and they don't really represent my young, vibrant conservative values, right? And that's all it was. Like when I think of like original alt-right members, I think like Gavin McGuinness, who is hardly a white nationalist. There is some punk with who always wears like zoot suits with a massive twirly mustache, like a hipster. Like no one could possibly describe him as a white nationalist. Like he's just way too goofy and ridiculous for that. But he's been pushed to be an alt-light, and the difference is between the two. Alt-right want the society to be based around white people for white people, with the constitution like specifically rewritten so that it says white people this, white people that, so that they can quote unquote secure a homeland for their people. To which my whole response is, you want a homeland? Fuck off to Europe. That's your homeland. Like, Christ. That's where all the white people come from. I don't get this whole white nationalism in America thing. But to wrap up the point, then you've got alt-light, who are civic nationalists, who are like, we think that America they're basically American patriots for America's sake. And that's it. Like, they don't care who inhabits it. They just like America. But this makes them far right, according to the people that hate America. They're like, oh, how could you like the flag and the president? Oh.
Yeah, they'll be like status. Libertarians would call them status. But yeah, like nationalism means it's different, and like for people, like nationalism is subjective. Like in different countries, nationalism can be a completely different thing.
Like
there's a different
at its very most basic level, it is the idea that the nation should exist. And so, if you believe that at all, then you've got a hint of nationalism. If you think that there should be no countries whatsoever, then you're probably not a nationalist. You're probably a globalist, that would make you, unless you think there should be non-country, non-global sort of state. I don't know how that would work, but there's probably more options than nation state or global state. But if you are in favour of the nation state at all, that makes you some flavour of nationalist.
Right.
Just like how, and that would have annoyed the left-wingers, so here's one to annoy the right. If you believe in any sort of freedom whatsoever, that makes you a liberal.
Yeah, and that would make him froth through the mouth.
Yeah, they're like, what do you? I'm not a snowflake.
Just make him go insane. um,
Well, that's the
but
thing.
yeah,
Like, the two sides aren't meant to be each other's enemies. It's not meant to be like, oh, you compare me to them. It's like, yeah, I compare you to them because you share the same fucking roots, you know?
because here's the thing. Here's the thing that a lot of people sort of neglect, and I think I probably spoke about this before, but I was talking to a friend about like the stimulus check and all that stuff, and like the
Ah, for
situation
COVID,
of it.
yeah.
And it's because the Democrats and the Republicans just keep fighting. They just keep fighting over it, you know.
Yep.
And it's like she's like, "Yo, bitches, we're all in the same country. Just give me my fucking money." You know, you're all in the same boat. You know, why y'all fighting?
It
You
was
know,
so, I hated all of that. It was so petty. Like, oh,
yeah,
we'll give you money,
exactly.
but we want this specific thing that doesn't have anything to do with the relief. Like they were like, oh, we want we want you to basically have a something that says all businesses must hire diverse something or other. It's like, why are you? What's that got to do with people dying from coronavirus? Come on.
Right? Or people in the streets, you know, due to not having anything, you
Yeah,
know, to pay rent, or people not being able to buy groceries. What does that have anything to do with it, you know? And it's sort of a tug of war, more to
exactly.
say. Um, but yeah, but I digress though. That's sort of uh out of topic. Well, sort of out of topic, but still in
Well,
topic.
you know, we could always
With like the media.
wrap it back around to the media. The media is such a big topic, but like, given what we've said
Right.
about politics, it's incredible to me what I said at the beginning of this podcast,
Exactly.
that the media is less trustworthy than the politicians, and that isn't because politicians have suddenly become more popular. No, media trustworthiness has tanked hard,
And they
hard.
sold themselves out too. A
Oh,
lot of them
absolutely.
sold themselves out, and
And
you got
they're
people
doing.
controlling the media.
I've called it this before, but I'll say that they're liquidating their reputation. They're essentially banking on their reputation to sell bullshit because they need to make
Right.
up views, but they can only spin stories in a certain way to benefit their bottom line. And so they're caught between a rock and a hard place where, like, if you know, they can't really escape from it. They're in a death spiral. And so this is what I thought when all of the networks started going on about this Russian narrative that was obviously bullshit.
Right.
Like, oh, Trump was actually put into office by Russians. What? How does that make
Right.
sense?
And then after
And then
that,
they spent the
when they
next
couldn't
3
find anything.
years making it true. They were like, oh, but if you think about it, because at first they were like, he colluded with Putin directly to hack the electoral register and brainwash the electoral college or something. And then it turned into, oh, basically he didn't denounce when the bot farm hired 2,000 ads on Facebook that we can trace back to Russia. And it was like, really? Like, 2,000 votes? 2,000 votes can swing an election. It's like, yeah, but 2,000 adverts isn't 2,000 votes. Like, these people actually think that people pay attention to adverts. It's ridiculous.
No, and then after that you had the Kavanaugh issue. Then after that you also had what
That
was the
was
other
awful.
issue? The
Yeah,
impeachment. The
I mean,
impeachment.
we could talk a
It
little
was
bit
the
about
biggest waste
Sandman
of
as
time.
well. Like, just the way the media has been acting, basically, like they've become the boy that cried wolf, where they go, oh, CNN, the most trusted name in news, and you're like, da 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 da. Tonight on
Yo,
CNN,
Jimbo.
Orange Man bad and evil, and he said this specific thing, and you're like, oh god. And then like months later, you just like are reading something like, wait a minute, that's that quote. Right, here's the full version. That's not what he said. And then you start hang on a moment, what else did they lie about? And so they're doing the sensationalist thing, trying to get views, but it's not a long-term strategy that can work. It just can't, because the internet has no time for bullshit. If you try to lie to the internet, they will catch you out in 2 seconds flat. They don't care. They will debunk you in real time. As you're telling the lie, they will be typing up the rebuttal, like to post as soon as you're done.
Right.
You can't get a
And you
lie
know what?
past the internet, and so it's amazing that you've got this industry built up around the idea that you can just, lie to the public's face, and it's just coming home to roost. They can't keep it going much longer, and so in my mind, they're just coming up with more and more sensationalist stories, more and more ridiculous stories, to make it so that not only are the stories remaining in focus, but the media remains in focus. Because as far as they're concerned, they've just got to make money, and
You
it's
know what is
stupid to me
a
because they've
big
got to make money
problem?
long term as well, right? You'd think.
Yeah, but you know what's a big problem though?
Hmm.
And it's something I was thinking about. The big problem is if the media starts becoming trustworthy, then people take it upon themselves to start spreading things. And then we have a lot of misinformation on social media. So when you have people within a certain echo chamber,
Yeah, like I don't think people
that be
should trust the media just like as a default. I think people should be skeptical of the media, but the
right,
media it it's going to create a power vacuum, because what you've got at the moment is all these big companies, all these big media organizations, CNN, MSNBC, Fox,
right.
and NBC, whatever. Um,
And celebrities as well, like,
yeah,
more
all of
renowned
these,
journalists and
they all
celebrities.
have access. This is what I was talking about earlier as well. They have access to politics. They have the ability to get their reporters in and talk to politicians. They have the ability to get reports on what's happening before anyone else. And it's because they are the media. It's like state backed and everything else. And so you're going to have a lot of teething problems when it comes to um, the alternative media coming to the fore. Because what you've got is
Right.
the alternative media getting bigger and bigger and bigger. We were talking about Joe Rogan earlier. How many views does Joe Rogan get? How many views does MSNBC get? And then how many views does, unironically, Pew News, PewDiePie, the YouTubers, satirical news show, actually get like magnitudes higher viewership than CNN? So, PewDiePie just has to give his half baked opinion on a news story that he's heard about, and that will influence people way more than an entire media organization putting thousands of dollars into a story and, getting people getting reporters out in front of it, because they've lost their reputation. And on the
Exactly.
internet, people value honesty. People value integrity. They might not seem like they do because they're a bunch of shitlords, but people on the internet, they do. They value integrity, honesty, decency, and they will reward you and they will punish you if you don't adhere to those things. And so the new media coming out is actually the more honest you are, the more hardworking you are, the more you're rewarded. It's just a direct consequence of doing good work will get good reward, and that's because that's how the natural state of things is. The more trustworthy you are, and the better reputation you get, the more people reward you, and the more people trust you, and the more people prop you up to move even higher. But they don't want it to remain like that. They would much rather it was a more locked down, corporatized system. And
Yeah,
even
popularity.
and something interesting that I heard on a podcast the other night was 4 years ago, you had a lot of YouTube commentators and stars coming up where there was not being funny, but there was a lot of beautiful women, around 4 years ago. A lot of hotties coming up. But if you look at it now, it's just a lot of normal looking people, a bunch of normies, and the reason I
Average Joes.
yeah, average Joes. And the reason that was brought up by the person that brought it up on the podcast was they said before people were sort of getting into politics, a little bit, like it was becoming culturally popular to do so, but only to the extent that they could be bothered to listen to stuff about politics if there was a hot chick involved or if there was something else. Like, I know that's not the case because there were a lot of big people back then that, you know, weren't hot chicks, but I just thought the point was funny. But now you've got people that, you know, it's just your average person that has no idea what's going on because they're being told that everything they do is evil, everything they do is wrong and bad, and that if they try to talk out against it, that they're the bad guy. And you know, it's about these people being given a voice. I think this election cycle is going to hinge on.
Yeah. And things are getting a lot more difficult. Like it's a lot harder to talk about things without having like a legion of people trying to cast you and throw stones at you. Um
Yeah, and so
it's
I mean, do you think that we're reaching a point where we're getting over the growing pains of social media, or do you think it's getting worse and we're in for a future where we're even more divided, even more at each other's throats, and the social media is even better at keeping us apart?
I feel like a lot of it's getting worse. Like I don't see things really getting better.
Hmm.
Um like I mean before 2016, like everyone a lot of people got along. A
Oh yeah,
lot of people got along. Like you know, we could joke about things and not have to worry about people being butthurt.
yeah,
Yeah, you had people that were butthurt, but it wasn't to a point where um
yeah. True. We actually,
it,
yeah, we
it
had the internet before these people started taking over. We were on the internet and we were, you know, interacting with each other and were getting used to each other on the internet. But then the SJWs came along and
yeah.
decided, no, people shouldn't be talking to each other. That's bad. We don't like this. You're a white person, go over there. You're a gay person, sit in that corner. Oh, you're a black woman. You have to go in that box. Um.
I remember 2013, like, 2013, 2012. I remember like when they used to have the Tumblrinas and all that
Oh
stuff
yeah,
and
and
like the
people used to
social
make fun of
justice.
them as well. Like, look at these
I remember
people on
when we
this
used to
corner
have
of the internet. Yeah.
the different genders, like people would make fun of them, they would roast the hell out of them. But now what we got now is if you try making any jokes about that, oh, you're transphobic. You're literally Mugabe or some sort of Mao or freaking
Oh
Hitler.
yeah, and you brought up BLM earlier. Did you see the BLM activists went into the restaurant and got people to chant BLM with their fists up and started harassing anyone without their fists
They
up?
did that in college campuses. That
These
they
people
were
will
going after people that
demand
wouldn't chant it.
compliance. They don't believe in freedom. That's the thing. They don't believe in your right to be left alone. So if you're like, no, I just want to believe what I believe and sit in the corner, like live my own life, I want to look after my family. These people won't let you do that. These people will
The
come for
thing
you. They will
is,
burst into your house and they will say, comply or die.
right? Hide your kids, hide your wife, and hide your
Exactly.
husband,
Because they're coming for
because
everyone up in here.
they're making you raise your fist.
So
But yeah, when
but
the
it's
danger
in
about
other
that,
ways as well. It's not just activists bursting into restaurants. It's HR departments making sure you comply with the latest
yeah,
whatever the hell in order to keep your job. You know, I know people that have to outwardly state that they believe these things. Otherwise, they, you know, might just get fired.
or
And
universities, if you're a
yeah,
student and you don't agree with the professor, let's
absolutely.
say the professor can talk about how it's progressive to diddle kids, and then you say something, oh, you say no, that's wrong.
Even yeah,
They're gonna be like, no,
even on a smaller scale, you've got
fail.
professors just marking students down for expressing wrong think when it's just a difference of opinion. But it's all to
You know,
do with
I was using that
morphing.
as an example. Hopefully no professors agree with diddling kids, because
Well,
I will find you and I will bonk you
unfortunately, I know
with
for a
my
fact that
baseball
they
bat.
do. I've seen them.
Yeah.
I've seen videos of professors saying that. You can find videos of
Oof.
professors saying pretty much anything if you look hard enough. Like all
Time to
of
get my baseball bat and bonk.
time to get the rubber mallet out to do a little bit of a whomp.
Hey, Muriel, where's my mallet? That old Eustace from Courage.
Stupid
Where's my
dog.
mallet?
Make me look bad.
Stupid dog. Oh, the things I do for love. Oh,
Oh boy. It's a living.
oh. But yeah, it's crazy how we used to live in a society where like everyone can express things, and you still have those same lefties be like, it's really nice to express yourself. Never be afraid to express yourself.
Oh
Always
yeah,
say what's on your mind.
always be yourself. It's
As
like
long as you agree
I
with
think
me.
I'm a conservative. It's like don't be yourself. Be yourself
Um,
as long as it's me. Be me. Yes.
but yeah, and it's crazy how a lot of the people in like the far left are the first people who will not sit down and have a conversation with you. You say something that sort of, nope, they shut themselves off.
Yeah.
However, a lot of people from the right actually take their time to listen. You know, at
it's
worst case
difficult to
scenario,
get
they just make fun of you. They'll
it's
just laugh and be like, "Oh,
yeah, no.
interracial relationship. You're funny. Oh,
How
not in
quaint.
my America. Not in
Yeah,
my
but
America."
the thing is, at the moment, you've got the right believes that the left is stupid, but the left believes that the right is evil.
I mean, there's such thing as being an evil genius, but I don't think there's such thing as an evil dumbass. So um, yeah, that's sort of a tough one right there. Am I right?
Damn straight. Where were we?
You know.
Let's bring
Um.
this back around to the main topic, media. So
So let's go to the main thing because I feel like we sort of danced around
yeah, what
we
was that?
sort of um. So one thing I want to do is like the media narratives. So one thing that I wanted to bring is, let's go with Kyle, Rittenhouse, the one that pew 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 uh shot those two dudes and injured the other dude. Um well, shot three people. Um have you noticed how like the media has been like portraying him as a monster? But doesn't
Oh
it sort
yeah.
of remind
So
you of another kid, another
yeah,
17-year-old?
yeah. I was gonna say, like, instead of talking about Cole, because like not all the facts are in, I'm pretty sure that the media's. I am certain that the media is smearing that kid. I don't know what's going on with that yet, but what I do know, because it's like there's been a lawsuit and everything. Nick Sandman, this poor fucking kid, got harassed by the entire mainstream media for standing around and smiling. Am I wrong?
He's just minding his business. And then the thing is, they went to, they literally walked up to him and he's like, "Man, we're just waiting for our bus."
Yeah,
Like, what more do you want me to do? Like, he's not reacting violently. He's not doing anything. Um, it's like, what more do you want him to do? Did you want him to like take the Native American dude's, drumstick and beat him on the head with it?
yeah.
You know, did you want him to mock him? Just be like,
No, and
oh, and just like,
it's always like
uh,
man, it's always like almost the direct opposite of what they claim as well. They're like, oh, this brave and beautiful Native American man was standing up against this racist MAGA kid that was smiling at him aggressively. And then when you look into it, actually what happened was that Native American guy has I don't know if he's been arrested before or if he's just notorious for it, but he's been caught race grifting before, like just trying to divide people in order to get his activism off the ground. He's been caught pulling a fast one before. The kid was a kid. He turned out that the most reasonable explanation, that he was just smiling, was actually the correct one.
I mean, I'd
There were
smile
so many
too.
other things. Like
I'd be
he
like,
was
this is
beat.
cool.
He said, "Oh, he surrounded the Native American." No, what happened was the Native American guy burst into the drum circle, like belligerently, and was like, "No, no, it wasn't a drum circle until he got there." Sorry.
It was like a couple of dudes walking towards them. Like there's like a video of like individuals, like a group walking towards them.
Hmm.
And it's sort of like the dude's like in his face, just playing, beating a drum and like, and he's like,
Yeah. Anyone
okay, like
else,
I would
anyone
do the
else would have been
same.
like, "Oh, fuck off, fuck off." In fact, there's a kid in the back of the video that's like, "Oh, get out of my fucking face," and then another one of the kids, for whatever reason, is like, "Oh no, don't say anything." Who fucking knows why he said that? But like, this kid stopped something popping off because another one of the Native Americans, like, they won't show you this in the media, went right up to one of the kids, a kid on a school trip that was like seeing the capital of their country. Like, oh, here's the memorial for this, and they're like, ooh, ah, it's like here's a fucking hot dog stand. They're like, oh, let's get a hot dog. Like, here's a hat shop. They were like, oh, let's all get MAGA hats. Oh, MAGA hat. And then they just get like harassed by everyone. Like, one of the Native American, I think he was another kid, came right up to one of the Covington Catholic kids and just screamed in his face, "Go back to Europe," repeatedly. It's like, how is
Wait,
that
that's
how is that any different to people shouting at African Americans, "Go back to Africa"? How is that any less racist?
irony.
Because of power and privilege. No. They're saying the exact same thing.
What if the kid was also Native American? Then that would have been,
That would have been
ironic.
something.
What if he
And
was
he's like,
like
"No,
a
you go
30%
back to Europe." And he's like, "No, you go back to Europe."
I mean, technically, many of them came from Siberia. They went through the Bering Strait. So, I guess we can all go to Europe. Or
Yep.
actually, I think that would be Asia, if not
Yep, that's right.
mistaken.
Nope. Asians came from Europe. They had to walk over from somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, we all came from Africa, you know.
Yeah, Native Americans.
We're
Why don't
all
you
African.
go back to Europe, where you came from 30,000
Why,
years ago?
why don't you go back to Pangea before
Yeah,
before everything split?
fucking. Can you
Go
imagine, like,
back to the sea, you fish.
I'm just we need to do like a skit of some like caveman redneck who's like, "I don't like these Neanderthals around here. Go back to Pangea."
These damn Homo sapiens.
What, these
Or just
newfangled Homo sapiens? I ain't no homo. I'm an erectus. No, that means you're still a homo, Bill. What you call me? I ain't no homo.
or just a fish. Damn mammals. Damn mammals breathing on my air. Which it did not make sense, but
I'm trying to think of how that would work. Just go back to land.
what are you
Go
doing
back
here in Atlantis?
to like
What are
a
you doing here? What are you doing in my swamp?
racist fish to like a scuba diver. Like, why don't you just go back to land where you belong?
Or you could just have the New York racists where they're like Italian.
Hey,
But like, hey, get out of my shop. You're not allowed in my shop. Get out of here.
hey, hey, what you doing in the ocean? Hey,
Hey, we don't let your kind swim around here. Get out of here.
hey,
Capiche?
you lost your right to fuck around here when you grew legs.
Hey, you lost something over here? Hey, I'm talking to you. Yeah, you with the tank.
Yeah, and then
Get out of
a
here.
bigger fish comes along and he goes, "Don't you understand the sacred right of fish hospitality? You are a disgrace to fish kind." Turns to you, he's like, "Please do not take heed of my brothers. They are not a good representative." And then you, as the
You're
scuba
you're
divers,
bad.
just
You're bad. You're a bad example of fish. You should not be here. I'm going to cancel you. I'm
why
going
would
to
you
go
even
to.
want to shoot fish in a barrel?
Oh man.
I can't wait for meme
Um.
review tomorrow. That's just going to be ridiculous.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be insane. Like we're I'm looking up at all the memes that they've sent us. If anything, like keep emailing us memes and keep sending us memes.
We need
We appreciate it.
you to send us funny stories so that we can
If you got
if it's
funny
got
stories, I'll read it.
yeah, if you've got in fact if you've got a screenplay, we'll act it out. If you
I'll do voices and everything.
yeah, Harry,
We'll do
like
the Mickey voices for
you
you.
got a Harry Potter fanfic, we'll do a great Mickey Mouse voice for you. Oh, Hermione.
Oh boy, we're gonna be to read a good story here.
Turns out the
So
real
yeah,
friendship is magic.
magic and some crystal meth. Yup.
That's enough now there, Mickey. Right, so
I I'm gonna take over the world.
alright, so to bring it back round to the main topic, speaking of the mouse, fucking
God damn it.
Disney, fucking Disney. Why
Oh,
does
Disney, they own the
fucking
media too.
why does Disney own everything? So
Oh, you got
just
Disney,
in case,
Amazon.
just in case people are uninitiated to the concept, there's something in I don't know if it's I mean it's in a lot of Western countries actually, but in America you've got something called the Big Six of media. And who are the Big Six, Pepe? Do you know? Get up a list. But
I mean, my
who
guess would
who
probably
runs the
be.
media? If
I
Disney's
think
one of them.
because I think one of my guess would probably be because one of
Another one's
Disney's
Sony.
rivals
Another one is definitely
is
Sony.
you got Sony Entertainment, of course. You
Yes.
also have Warner Brothers, but I think
Warner
Warner
Brothers,
Brothers is.
absolutely. Have they been rolled up into something else?
I'm not sure, but the biggest things because I know with Disney you have ABC.
Hmm.
ABC is because you have a lot of Disney movies on ABC. Warner Brothers,
Here's
I
one
think
that you're
might
not
be
going
with
to get because it's got some funky name.
Fox is with Disney now.
Na-
Fox used to be its own thing.
really? Okay. National
Yeah,
Amusements. You know that brand?
National Amusements. I know National Geographics.
No, National Amusements includes CBS, MTV, Nickelodeon, BET, Viacom. Trying to look for Paramount. That's a big one.
Yeah, Paramount's big. MGM? Do they have MGM?
No, that was all under one company.
Mm.
So next up, you've got
Who has
Disney.
Cartoon Network?
What comes
Who has
under
Cartoon
Disney?
Network?
We'll get to that
Disney is
eventually. I'll spot them somewhere.
obviously.
Come on, what does
Disney's
Disney own?
They have ABC, they have Fox, they have Marvel. They have the Star Wars franchise, which
Yep.
is, like Lucasfilms, and that was also part of Fox.
Yep.
I think Disney also owns Henson, like the Jim Henson brand as well, like the
Maybe.
Muppets.
So here's some more. You've got CI, Crime and Investigation Network. I'm trying to go in
That's
order.
crazy. They're covering up all of Walt Disney's murders.
Obviously, you've got all their subsidiaries like Disney Junior, Disney XD, Disney, their studios and whatever.
JetX.
ESPN, the whole thing.
Yeah, they own ESPN. I think. Yeah, they also. I think they own.
So
Don't they own?
they have a
They
big
don't own
part of
NBC, right?
No, we'll get to that eventually. They own the History Channel. They own Lucasfilm, like you said, Pixar.
Also, National Geographics, right? Do they own National Geographics?
Military history with a symbol that looks like National Geographics. Oh, they've got the History Channel as well. You know what? I'm not sure if they've got Nat Geo. You know what they do own though? Vice.
What? Vice? Oh
Yep.
boy.
Oh boy.
Ah, that explains why their news has been
So
yeah.
next up, you've got Time Warner. Now, what does Time Warner own? I'll just start going. Adult Swim, Cartoon Network, CNN, HBO, Hulu, Mad, Turner Classic Movies, Warner Brothers, TNT, Looney Tunes, others.
Okay, there we go. I'm back. Yeah, so I had a little technical issue, like sort of
Oh,
cut off.
don't
Okay,
worry. I
so time.
managed to cover you. I just went over Time Warner. So Comcast, what do you reckon's in Comcast?
Oh, you got. Oh, I fucking hate Comcast.
I hate
Internet
Comcast so
provider.
much.
Oh man, they.
We need
Oh
to
man, they would.
just do a rant
Internet.
about that one episode because I've heard horror stories.
Yeah, I know. Comcast can suck a
Oh,
big
why'd you
fat
want
chode.
faster internet? That's too bad. Looks like we're the only one available.
Yeah, because you had Bell South, you have
So,
Spectrum,
what do I own?
CenturyLink, and all that shit. But
NBC,
yeah,
CNBC. Is MSNBC part of this?
yeah,
MSNBC,
MSNBC.
CNBC, and NBC are all part of the same network. Way to be confusing,
Do
guys.
they own Warner Brothers? Who owns Warner Brothers? Or I
Time
think
Warner.
Warner Brothers is its own thing. Time
No,
Warner.
Time Warner owns Warner Brothers because I think that's the result of a merger.
Yeah.
So Comcast, Universal Studios, Sci-Fi, NBC Universal, obviously,
Right.
DreamWorks,
DreamWorks. Yeah, that's
and
the Pixar's
yeah,
Pixar's nemesis.
knock off Pixar. Then you've got E, not the
Oh
meme
yeah,
with
Entertainment
Markiplier's
Weekly.
face. Yeah, Entertainment Weekly. Right.
That's where you see the Kardashians and Jersey Shore and all that shit.
So next up we've got News Corp.
News Corp.
Now,
Who
this
do they
might be a
own?
bit old because this is Rupert Murdoch's company and it has Fox here. But you said Fox moved over to Disney. I was pretty
I
sure
think
that
it's the
Fox
Fox
was.
Studios. I think it's like the movie studios, like
Yeah, that
Fox,
makes sense because
Century Fox.
if you were Rupert Murdoch, would you sell your news network to Disney? Maybe if the price was big enough, but
Yeah, no, but Disney would force them to not be able to talk about certain things. Like Fox would be completely, because like Disney's like really
so
liberal.
yeah, under the Murdoch Empire, you've got Fox, Fox Business, Fox Life, Fox Studios, 20th Century Fox, of course, Fox Crime,
That got
a
sold
lot
to
of things
Disney.
called Fox, FX. I like FX. FX is good.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
FX has good movies.
Fox News,
Who owns
obviously.
Universal Studios?
Oh, that was in the last one. That was Comcast,
Comcast. They own Universal Studios. Okay, yeah,
along
because
with the
it cut off.
Sci-Fi
So,
Channel. You've
oh man,
got
Sci-Fi.
News Corp, ITV. Nat Geo
ITV.
is owned by Rupert Murdoch. There you go.
Oh, Rupert Murdoch. Okay.
And that's about it for the big ones. And last company we've got is Sony. What does Sony
Sony
own?
Oof, what do they not own?
I mean, a lot of the above, right? Whatever they don't own, the others own.
Yeah, so I know Sony is more big into the
Oh
gaming
wow,
industry
that is true.
and
Actually, is
music
there
as
any?
well.
Actually, you're right. I'm now looking for a TV channel here.
Sony was more of a recording studio back in the day. Like
Yeah,
was
Sony was one of the big players in music as well.
don't they
I'm
own
looking for a
MTV?
TV channel. I can't find any. There's True Star and Sony Pictures Animation. Sony
Yeah,
Wonder.
Sony Pictures Animation.
I mean, they're really not big on TV apparently. So that's interesting because it's the only one that's got obviously non-American CEO. Actually, that's not true. Only one to have a Japanese CEO. The others I mean, you've got Murdoch Empire. Disney is an American homegrown classic, of course, so they're the
Right.
biggest. They own entire other companies that would be considered empires in their own
Right.
right, like Marvel and ESPN.
Right. The new one that's coming up is Tencent. That's like the one that's sort of
Oh
emerging,
yeah, I mean,
buying the hell out of everything.
yeah. Let's.
Um,
We've got 7 minutes left. Do you want to go over what Tencent owns or has a part in?
Oof. So I think Tencent, first off, we want to go with Riot Games, people known
Tencent
for League of Legends.
owns
They
what
own
companies?
Activision, I think. I think Activision, and they got their slimy little hands into Blizzard Entertainment.
I'm trying to come up with a
Um,
list. Where is it? Every game company invested in.
don't aren't they invested with Epic Games as well?
Oh yeah, Riot Games 100%.
Yeah, Riot
They
Games.
own League of Legends and Riot Games. So if you play League of Legends, all of your data belongs to the glorious and immortal Communist Party of China.
Damn, I'm fucked because I got a lot of skins in League.
Yeah, you've got a lot of data, haven't you? Where it's like, if we ever need to dominate Pepe, then we will know from his league data how he thinks and when he breathes and everything else.
Oh,
Epic
I've
Games.
Elo's gone to shit, so
Epic Games. They
I
own
don't think
40% of Epic Games.
uh, so.
This is
Yeah,
why
Epic
I avoid Epic
Games,
Games. You're always
and they
saying,
be giving us free
but
shit.
bro, they've got free stuff. I can't. I've got to boycott Epic. Got to vote with my wallet, haven't I?
Dude, I got Revenant from the Ashes for free.
Hmm.
And that game's amazing.
And
the
I know.
the things I do for
I'd
entertainment.
rather at this point though, like maybe when I was like younger and completely broke.
Stupid.
No, when I was
It's stupid.
broke, because I wouldn't have cared. But now that I've got any amount of money, I would rather pay money to be free of the Chinese
Shut up,
censorship
you
and
bitch.
control.
Yeah.
Who's that?
Oh, you hear something?
Yeah, that was crazy. What was that?
Um, man, I heard something, but I think that was the
Anyway,
Chinese.
imagine unironically like in Epic Games. So did you know that Player Unknown Battlegrounds is actually 11.5% owned by
Yeah,
Tencent as well, which
they're
means
yeah,
that
they're owned by Tencent, and I got
both
PUBG.
sides of the short-lived Fortnite versus PUBG debate, it was just basically like, well, we like this Chinese game, and it's
The
like, well,
people on
we like
radio
this
can't
Chinese
hear
game.
me, but the next DJ's not on for 30 minutes, so you guys can go overtime.
That's not how this works at all.
Yeah. Um, whatchamacallit? Yeah, with PUBG. Yeah, like the reason why a lot of people like PUBG is because it was, you didn't have that stupid building, which was really annoying. You're about to shoot someone and they just make like a fucking tower, and then you're
PUBG was
like,
just a
oh,
fucking mess. Like none of it worked. I don't understand why people were into it.
copied
Like it was
from
just an
they,
innovation on the game mode. They were like, hey, what if battle royale but game? And people were like,
you know where they copied it from, right? They copied it from H1Z1, which H1Z1 got it from DayZ. And
DayZ got it.
H1Z1 is even worse.
Hmm.
H1Z1 was
There we
even a
go. Fucking
bigger dumpster fire.
Ubisoft 5%, Activision Blizzard 5%, Path of
How
Exile,
about
Grinding Gear
how about
Games 80%.
what Path of Exile? Path of Exile's amazing game, dude.
Yep, I've had friends try to get me into it, but I'm not doing that now.
It's basically like Diablo. Um like I think the team that participated in Diablo 2, which a lot of people say
Hmm.
was like the golden grail of Diablo games, were the ones that did um Path of Exile. And Path of Exile is an amazing game, so that
They
makes me sort
own
of sad.
84.3% of Clash of Clans company.
I don't give a shit about Clash of Clans. I bet do they own Raid Shadow Legends?
Oh, this one hurts. Oh no. Oh.
Which one?
Oh
Which
no,
one?
I've just read something. Oh no. They own 5% of Paradox Interactive Studios.
Paradox.
Stellaris,
I think I
Crusader Kings, Europa Universalis. I love Stellaris.
how about
Now I have to
CD
love it
Projekt
5% less. If I see
'Cause I know
CD Projekt
C-
Red on this list, I'm going to cry.
I heard CD
Hey.
Projekt Red.
Discord
Can
received an unknown donation from Tencent.
Oh boy. It would be a shame if we were yeah.
Right, we've only got one route now. It's time. It is time to go somewhere else. Just go free. We need to be free, Pepe.
Let's go to TeamSpeak. Just TeamSpeak's been waiting for us. Or we can go to Cursed Voice
Hmm.
or Ventrilo. Man, do you remember Ventrilo? Oh man, the old school World of Warcraft days. People used to use Ventrilo, and the amount of fuckery that would go on there.
Yeah.
Uh,
I mean, oh man, what are we going to talk about tomorrow over the meme review then? Like when we're not reviewing memes.
I mean, we could read the copy pastes and we could look at all the memes that people sent us so far.
Yeah.
I got them right in an email, so and I haven't looked at them because I want it to be a general reaction. I don't want it just to, you know, um,
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
it's like when you look at a meme once, it's sort of like you chuckle, but when you look at it afterwards,
See,
it,
PewDiePie kind of has a decent setup where he doesn't look at the memes either first, but he has a
it's like a
subreddit
wife.
to do it
It's like a
for him.
bride.
Yeah, he has a
It's like a bride,
subreddit
you know?
essentially set up just to do it. And so
Yeah,
then he
like,
just goes through this week's hottest memes or whatever. So if he had a common platform for people to submit, then you could just look at that every week.
Yeah, it's like a wedding, like, it's you don't want to see your bride before before the wedding. You want to be able to wait so that way it's trending. But then if you see her in a wedding dress, it'd be like, wow, you look good. But then when you're there in the wedding, it doesn't feel like it's not as like,
Hmm.
like, damn, that's my wife right there, going down the aisle,
Damn, is that my wife?
is that my
Damn,
wife that
Bobby.
I'm about to pork after this wedding?
Why do you sound
I'm
like you
about
sell
to
propane and propane accessories?
Because I'm about to give her the propane and propane accessories. I'm about to give her some of this Hank.
All right, let's see. That about wraps up this episode. So
Yeah.
yeah, this was a good episode. We didn't really go like too deep. We sort of touched upon a lot of things to do with the media. And
Yeah.
if people have any suggestions on areas they want us to do a deep dive into next time, that'd be great. But for now, I have been informed, either subtly or not subtly, depending on how that came across on the audio, that we have got an extra half an hour. So this is just sort of after show, I guess. So
Yeah.
the show has now ended, and we're just going to be talking about whatever now. So if you just wanted to tune in and listen to us talk about the media, then it was great having you with us. We'll be reading your suggestions in the comments, but for anyone that wants to hang out, we'll just be here for an extra half an hour just up until the next DJ comes. So let's see if we can actually get anyone else into the chat with us.
Okay, sweet. Yeah, because it was actually pretty it was pretty cool. Like, yeah, we did sort of wander off and danced around.
Yeah, but that was fine.
Reality,
As long as we have a central topic that we can sort of always bring it back to, and it's such a broad topic. Like, even when we were talking about politics, even when we're talking about movies, and it's all related. It's all within the same.
Life has many doors, Ed boy. Life has many doors.
I wasn't
Please don't
expecting an
make us
Ed, and
wait.
Eddie reference.
That's the thing
You
about when it
dare
comes to the
mock the
media
son of a
is
shepherd?
you dare mock son of a shepherd.
Ah!
I hit you across the head with the shoe of discipline. You
I
wasted
like
the
buttered
bread.
toast.
Buttered toast.
Oh man, my
I
friend
used to do a
used to
good Eddie
hate it.
voice.
My friend used to hate it when I used to always call him.
We gotta get some of them jawbreakers.
Have you got it? Ah!
Eddie, I don't think that is a good idea, Eddie. This is really unsanitary.
Shut up, Double D, or so. That show was
Hey,
ridiculous.
Eddie, you wanna say hello to my friend Plank?
What the?
Oh man,
Oh man.
you know who is like creepy though? Like the Kinker sisters, like always
Yeah,
trying to get some of that Ed,
yeah.
Ed, and
And
Ed.
them totally not being into it whatsoever, but them totally being their future wives.
Like, I mean, to be honest, the blue-haired one was like probably the most attractive.
It was their
You
name
know,
that was
like
the most unattractive thing about them. Like the Canker sisters. What kind of name is that? That's awful.
'cause that's like
Hi,
so
I'm
so weird.
Canker.
But yeah, it's pretty crazy how like they don't gotta worry about being single at least. But
All right,
yeah, I
let's see
think
if
Sarah was the one that had a crush on Double D. I
I
think
I'm not too brushed up on my Ed, Ed and Eddie lore. I'm sorry.
Sarah was like the one that like was always like beating the shit out of Ed, and then Ed was like, "Little sister, don't tell mom," and she'd always like defend Jimmy. My name's Jimmy. Oh, I am so frail. I hope no one steals my money. I'm gonna use this money to get jawbreakers.
Jesus
Oh.
Christ. Do a Kevin voice.
Oh, see you later, dorks. I don't
Do it.
do
Let's do
I
it,
don't like
Ed
there's
boys.
certain voices I have to like practice and like I actually have to watch the the show because like the more I watch a show then I could sort of pick up the voice and then sort of
Yeah.
you know but yeah I when I was younger I used to do a really good Ed voice like spot on and then from there it just yeah it fucking sucks but yeah, it's all about doing like just listening to something long enough to sort of be able to replicate it. So it's sort of like, before I never knew that I was able to do like a Geralt voice. You know, I'm a witcher. I slay monsters for a living. You know, it's sort of like I'm close up there, but it's hard for me to get certain ranges.
Yeah, I
Also,
get what
I
you mean.
used to do good. My dream is to do a Mark Hamill Joker. That's my dream. Like, why, hello there, Batman. Why, hello there, Batsy. It's really difficult to do certain ranges, and then you just start fucking up, and you just end up sounding like severely autistic.
Yeah. Oh, I think
What's your
we
favorite voice other than Mickey?
there's so many. Just one that's standing out is just the "You're a wizard, Harry" voice. It just cracks me up every time because he goes high
You're
pitched for
a
no reason.
wizard,
He's like,
Harry. I'm a
"For fuck's
what?
sake, you're a wizard, Harry! Listen to me!"
For fuck's sake, Harry, you're a wizard. Or,
And then just his
Mr.
his
Fudge,
deadpan.
you don't talk to me like that.
I'm
They
a
have to
what?
be aware.
I'm
The
a
students have
no,
to
wait,
be
wait.
aware.
He's not deep like that. He's like, I'm a what? You're a wizard, Harry. I'm a
Or when they just go,
what?
completely Scottish. Hagrid, you're crossing the fucking line.
with his arms just going all over the place.
It's
Mate,
just
that was
flailing
one
all
of
over
the
the place.
one of the first Gary's Mod videos I ever watched, and I couldn't stop cracking up because I couldn't figure out how they made it either. And so I was like, some wizard has put time and effort into animating this, and it looks awful. And it's so
The
funny.
animations were so creepy, dude.
And like, do you remember when he was like just saying something? His leg was just like brushing the ground and kicking up loads of dust. Like, what's going on?
No, but when they do the smile and then you
Yeah,
see
no,
like the
yeah.
teeth clipping, and it's like,
Why does that remind me of
that was
Tiptoe
nice
Through
to
the
feel.
Tulips? Tiptoe through the tulips. La, 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 la.
Afterwards, when it comes to Gmod, you had Anonymous that did the Nintendo Wii, and that shit slapped. Like they had like a trapped out Nintendo Wii like
I
theme song, and then
I
like
fucking love
Coach from Left 4 Dead's
I
like
fucking love
dancing.
Anonymous. He's one of my favorite memers.
Bum, 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 boop, 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 boop. Like that.
Hey, wait! I
Like
just
just seeing
realised
Coach
it's
using
not the
Wii
show
was
anymore.
amazing.
Do you want to? Should we put on the Joe Rogan Flash Kits thing? Just laugh at it.
With the chimps. Do you think they'll be able to hear it?
Whatever I put on right now, people should be able to hear.
Just make sure to close your Pornhub tabs.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'll have. All right, I'll need. No. I do have tubs of porn. I don't know what you're bringing that up for, though.
Oh god.
Baiting out my tubs.
I got some serious brain damage.
That's right. I've got a bathtub with a real doll in it, and he's like, I'll just program to say that on. Oh god, that was creepy as all hell.
Yeah, I could do those voices too.
You know what we could do? We got 20 minutes. We could do 20 minutes Mad Lads. Just play Mad Lads shamelessly over the radio.
Just sing that. Spokes.
No, stop that. I don't like it. And what about that Mark Riboulet guy? Should I like?
Oh, I could do oh, forsaken undead. You know, like in Dark Souls, that old lady.
Yeah.
The Lord of Cinders. Like I could do different voices. It's just like I just have to do like enough practice. But yeah, honestly, to be honest, I would actually like to do voice acting, like, because constantly I'm just doing different voices. Like, and the bad thing though is you end up doing accents by mistake. So you're talking to someone, then all of a sudden you're just, hey, why are you mocking me? Why are you mocking me, my brother? You better not talk to me like that again. I'll smack you across that face. You piece of shit.
Yeah,
Or just be like, anyway, lad, you better not be fucking chuckling at me. I'll fucking burst you.
Crossing the fucking line.
Emma, you better not be making fun of me, fool. I'll cut you, fool. You better not be disrespecting me. I will end you.
Very slowly.
Hey, you ever talk to me like that again? I'll fucking break your fucking jaw. I don't fucking care.
I'll look you in the gabba, mate.
I'll come here with the boys, and I'll slap you across the fucking face. I'll stab you in the face with the soldering iron.
Speaking of the boys, is the second season of that out soon?
Oh, Friday.
Oh, hell yeah. Can't wait for that.
Yes, we're gonna see old Billy Butcher, you know, killing some soups. You know, fucking Homelander banged me wife and got her pregnant.
Fucking Campbell's.
That makes me a bit fuming.
Fucking Heinz. Oh. Fucking hate soup.
He fucking put his little soup cook in my wife. I don't like that.
So I'm thinking of having a bit of a dilly dabble, have a bit of a visit, you know? Give him a bit of the old Billy Club with Billy Butcher, having a bit of a butcher with his club.
Yeah, just put a little Billy bombs up his butthole, like
Yeah,
translucent.
I just stuck a little dildo up his bumhole.
Or maybe poison the breast milk. I know he likes titty milk.
What? Then he sees her explode in front of him and he's like, shit.
He just drinks the titty milk and blows up.
Oh, boy.
Not what I expected.
Ow! Ow! Ha ha ha! Oh, that Mad Lads the other day about the prank caller was great. What was his name?
It was Longmont Potion Castle, LPC.
What the
I have
fuck
good
did you
memory,
just...
dude.
What the fuck did you just say at me?
I can't believe you've done this.
Did you just say Longmont Potion Castle?
Well, indeed I did. I did. I doed it.
Indeed he did he doed it. Well, according
Yeah,
to
dude was
fair
a
use.
legend. Like before Howard Stern, you had Howard Stern doing prank calls and like other dudes. You know, you had soundboards.
Do you have a
yeah,
particularly
LPC
good
was
one?
like the.
Because we could stick one on. We've got 15 minutes and they're about 5 minutes each.
Also, there was Beach Bum Bastards. Beach Bum Bastards was another prank call records, but this is like old school. Like I'm talking like I think like around the 60s, like or like I think probably around the 70s. And they would call this bar and it would be the unoriginal, like, hey, I want you to, they'll call the bar, they'll be like, hey, can you look for a guy, last name Pitt, first name Stu, and then you'll hear the dude, hey, I'm looking for Stupid, anyone named Stupid here?
He's saying the word stupid.
And they'd be like, there's no one stupid here. It's like, yeah, you're the only stupid one that fucking fell for it. And they're like, oh, you come over here, I'm gonna freaking punch you in the face. It's like, oh, you
I'm
gotta
gonna wring your
and
neck
you just
so
start
hard.
talking shit.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, if you come over here, I'm gonna kick you in the prick. You know, like the old
Do
school.
you remember
like,
that one time in The Simpsons where it went wrong though, where Bart calls up and he's just like, "Hi, I'd like to talk to a Mr. Butts, Seymour Butts." He's like, "Oh, all right." Mo's like, "Seymour Butts, have I got a Seymour Butts? I'd like to see more Butts." And then just out of nowhere, a guy goes, "Hello, I'm Seymour Butts," and he goes, "Call for you." He goes, "Hello, I'm Seymour Butts," and Bart just goes, I got a level with you, mister. I never expected to get this far. Well, this is actually a prank call gone wrong, and because you've got a funny name, it's like, oh, okay, fair enough. He puts down the phone, and he's like, what a charming young boy.
what a charming young lad he was. What a nice kid.
See more butts? That's hilarious.
Oh man, that reminds me actual true story. When I
Real
was a
true
kid,
story, no lying.
I used to go to those church schools, those Christian schools
Yes.
when I was a
I
kid.
too went to a church school.
I used to draw a lot of devil stuff, in my
Oh, yeah.
notebooks. Like I used to draw a lot of diabolical looking shit, but that's not the thing. So there was this event, and um, they were giving out awards, because like the semester ended, so they're giving out like awards, like the student who put a lot of effort, or like the student had the best grades.
Yeah.
So there was
Oh,
one
I
of the
got.
moms that was standing with a dude, and they're like, can the lady with hairy butt come forward? And there
Wow.
was a guy in there named last name Butt, first name Harry. So everyone's like fucking laughing. It's like shit, like, oh man. And then afterwards they're like, oh, we apologize about that. But I'm like in the back, I'm like, yo, why y'all apologizing? You ain't the one that gave him that name.
Yeah. Yeah.
His mom should
True.
apologize.
That is very true.
And then I got in trouble for that, because I was the type of kid that I was like straightforward. So yeah. Sometimes the best things should be unsaid. But yeah, I was that type of kid. Like, if there was something on my mind, I'll fucking say it.
So, I'm dying.
I'm dying.
I'm dying of poverty.
I'm dying of no money.
Just put some money in my hand.
Hey, put some of your change in my hand so I can get me some crack.
Thank you, good sir. Now I can purchase some crack.
Blessings of Akatosh upon ye. Do you remember Oblivion? When you would play Oblivion, like they would have.
Thank you, kind sir. Of course, I fucking. Of course, I remember Oblivion. That's seared into my memory.
Can you spare some coin for?
Thank you, kind sir.
And you give them a coin, and then they're like,
"Thank you, kind sir."
Of Julianus upon ye, like this really old, raggedy
No,
voice.
Oblivion was great because there's one line in particular where the voice actor screws up the line, and then you hear the voice actor go, "I screwed that up. Can I do it again?" And then they just say the line again, and that's what went in the game.
That's the wood elf. No, that's the Thalmor. The Thalmor lady that's like really tall and has like really like when they freaking stab her, she does like this big lady voice.
Tell me, Pepe, have you heard of the High Elves?
She sounds like Brianna Tarth, like when she's fighting, like.
Remember Brienne when she just got kicked right in the cooch? Oh.
Now I remember seeing her like butt naked from behind, and I'm like, damn, she's tall.
I am.
But yeah, I think that's when Jaime Lannister was like,
that a woman better. Yeah, he's like, that a woman right there. she just stands up and he's like, okay.
I could see why Mr. Wildling, Mr. North Wildling man wanted a piece of that. I could see why.
Yeah, always giving her the eyebrows.
I wouldn't be surprised if he banged a giant though. I wouldn't be surprised if he banged a giant.
That definitely happened. Like, I'd take that as just like what actually happened.
Drink giant's tit milk?
Like, yeah, no.
That he drank.
No, he killed a giant, fucked a giant, and then drank its milk, or something. I can't remember. But his name is Tormund Giantsbane. But yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I loved that dude, and he actually survived. He survived all of that shit. Like that's how badass he was. Like
for the last 10 minutes, or however long it lasts, without any spoilers or many spoilers. How do you feel about the ending of Game of Thrones and D&D and everything else around that?
I'm just gonna say, like, Game of Thrones was like watching World of Warcraft cinematics. That's how it felt. I'm like,
in a good or a bad way?
I mean, at first it was like in a good way, then afterwards it was like in a bad way. I'm like, this is like a cataclysm. Oh, this is like Wrath of the Lich King.
Fucking hell. How do you know that Wrath of the Lich King isn't like Game of Thrones, huh? Game of Thrones came out in like the early 90s or something, I believe.
So did Warcraft. Warcraft came before. It was like I think 95.
Yeah, they're both directly inspired by Tolkien, though, aren't they? Would you say that about World of Warcraft?
Say so, but then again, I think he had didn't Warhammer come before?
Yeah, Warhammer's been around for yonks. Like that's 80s for sure.
Yeah, because Warhammer is first like a D&D. Like it was like a
Oh yeah. D&D, yeah.
Tabletop. Yeah, like you had Warhammer. It's the same thing with like The Witcher. The Witcher, you had the big influence for The Witcher was like I think it was Elric of Melnibourne, something like that.
Elric of Melniboné, yeah, that's the one.
Because that came in the 60s, like late
Yeah,
60s,
and
early
he's
60s or
literally
so.
called
The White Wolf.
the book is called The Weird of the White Wolf, yeah. And I mean, let's just go over the similarities quickly.
Warcraft
You've got
took
a white-haired
the Lich King.
magic
The Lich King
swordsman.
took
What else
Yeah.
is similar about Elric of Manibene? You've got a white-haired magic swordsman who
They both die.
at the end. Spoilers.
Yeah, like they both die at one point. They both die at one point and come back.
Yeah.
But one
Yeah, they
thing
both
that
cheat
the
death. They both
Warcraft took from
teleport
Elric
around time and
was the
space,
sword.
killing elves. Oh
No,
yeah,
but,
and both have got
the
special
Lich King
swords. You
sword?
could say that, yeah.
Yeah, the Lich King sword that has like the mind of its own.
Yeah, that's
that was inspired
directly.
from
That
Elric.
is, yeah, that's Stormbringer. Is that the name of his sword? Stormbringer.
No, Stormbringer is the name of Elric's sword,
Yeah,
and then Frostmourne is the name of Arthas' sword,
yeah,
which had the power to imprison people's souls within it.
yeah. A bit like
Arthas was the first soul that he took.
Well, can you think of any other swords that trap souls? I've got a bit of a campy example that you surely won't think of in a video
you had
game.
Oblivion. I mean,
Oh
Oblivion
yeah,
it
absolutely.
wasn't Umbra.
Oh yeah, the ebony blade, absolutely.
Ebony Blade. Also, you had the anime Vampire Hunter D, and
Yeah.
like that sword also was magic as well.
Here's an example for you: Master Sword, Legend of Zelda.
Ah, that as well.
Yeah, because at the
Soul
end of
Edge
every
from Soul Calibur.
at
Soul
the end of
Calibur,
every
you had,
game, he seals Ganon away into the sword or something. So it steals his soul. But yeah, Soul Calibur, of course. Yeah. I mean, yeah, sword stealing your soul is a bit of a trope.
Right. As a magic sword, also you have Berserk as well.
Oh yeah,
But the sword was never magic. It shed so much demon blood that the demon blood stain on the sword and is able to affect both planes of existence. But it doesn't like take souls or anything. But
yeah, but it removes them from their bodies
yeah, so
via
it's
the
like if
process
you're
of
like a
death.
ghost or something, you ain't gonna be able to. Yeah, the Dragon Slayer is gonna fuck you up, literally. And the fucked up thing is the sword's dull too. Like it's not like it's sharp. It's so damn
I know, it's just
heavy.
so big. Speaking of big, heavy, blunt, iconic swords, we couldn't not mention the Buster Sword.
Oh yeah, the Buster Sword from that's from Final Fantasy, right?
Yeah, number 7 to be specific. That is the big bitch of a sword. It's just like 6. Is it 6 foot long, or is it like a foot wide and like 4 foot long and like half a foot? No, it's like a foot deep, half a foot wide, and then
Also, you
like
have
4 or 5 foot long.
Bleach, the anime Bleach, and you had the Soul Reapers, and like their swords
Yeah.
also was like spiritual and shit.
Well, in Final Fantasy VII, even just staying with that, you've got the Masamune Sephiroth sword. You've obviously seen that one. The really, really oversized katana that's like 7-8 foot long.
It gets longer, but it's just doesn't have the girth as a Buster Sword.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, but oh boy,
it's
that
not girthy. It's long, but it's not girthy.
You used to swing that bitch around like a rapier, though. You know, like swish, swish.
Oh, yeah.
Although apparently
honestly, Sephiroth was like the Griffith of Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
Just this really like pretty boy, but also a piece of shit.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, it's funny how Japanese RPGs have certain tropes as well. Because what I find funniest about Japanese RPGs is like you could pick up almost any Japanese RPG, and about midway through the game, you'll be having a fucking fist fight with God, and then the game will just continue. Like you've physically defeated God in a fist fight, and then it will just be like, oh, well, you've defeated one of the gods. What about the other ones? Like the power escalates.
When Dark Souls, when you defeat when you fight fucking Orstein and Smo, which is probably one of the most frustrating fights in a video game because it's not just one person that you got to worry about; it's two people. So if you don't have the little help of Senpai Solaire,
Mm-hmm.
our Lord and Savior, praise the sun. Uh, you're gonna have a bad time. You're
Yep.
literally gonna have a bad time. And then once you're done with them, you go to the princess. You're like, "Ooh, big titty princess. She's gonna say some cool things." And then afterwards, it's like, there's other bosses you got to defeat. You're not done yet. And you're like,
Yeah.
"Shit."
Yeah, it always feels like something they tacked on afterwards. Like I feel like this is a problem inherent to anime, where you've got power creep. And keep in mind, we've only got 2 minutes left. But you remember, like in like Dragon Ball Z, where like they'll be like, "Oh, and you defeat the most powerful person on this planet," and then that got the attention of the most powerful person in the whole galaxy, and that got attention of like the spirit of fighting from like beyond the grave, and that got attention of God, and then it will just continue where it's like, and then there was this purple thing made of goo that was even stronger than God. It's like, really, like, what is this? It just carries on into like absurdity.
Yeah. Yeah, it's always absurd, but yeah, I think we should wrap up though, because we only got like a minute. So,
Absolutely. So
it
yeah,
definitely.
final
Go
thoughts.
ahead. Final thoughts. I mean, it was freaking awesome being able to talk about all these stuff because it sort of sucks that um it sort of sucks that we couldn't cover everything, but we did cover a lot.
Yeah,
So I do hope everyone
yeah.
enjoyed.
That's sort of my goal
And
with these first few episodes. Before we go into really deep dives on whatever topic, we do a broad
yeah,
overview of a topic in general, see how people like it, and yeah, I'm gonna be reading through the comments. Any suggestions? We'll do a show about that. But yeah, it's been great having you on, man, and we'll surely do many more Jim Domino shows together. But
yeah,
I'll probably
and
be
we'll
with
be
you
doing meme
tomorrow.
reviews too.
That's right. And so yeah, that about
Okay,
wraps things
so
up. So I'll talk to you later, my dude, and on to the next show.
all right, on to the next show.